Hi, this is Allyse, and welcome to the Daily Mentor Calls. We are on call 11, and we're going to be speaking about how do we actually get people to come to classes. This was such a big problem and a concern for Patrick and I at the beginning of doTERRA. We felt like if we could crack this one nut in doTERRA, how to just get people to show up to classes, then everything else would change. Because so many people take time sampling, following up, they spend energy and money, and then when they get excited because maybe 10 people say, hey, we'll come to a class, and on average, only 3 out of those 10 show up, it's super discouraging. And we thought to ourselves, boy, if we could even just double that to 6 to 10, that would double our business. It would double our revenues. It would double everything, right? And so we kind of set out to decide how we could solve this one problem. Specifically, how to get people to show up to classes. So we did something that most people would think maybe is a little crazy, but I want you to know that it was calculated. My husband and I have been in business for a long time. This is not the first business that we've started, and we've done a lot of marketing in a lot of different businesses. And we wanted to find out what makes people come to classes and what makes them not show up. And we were prepared to do whatever it takes. And it ended up costing us a little over $100,000 to figure this out. So what we first wanted to start with is we wanted to start with what's called a baseline. So a baseline is basically all the numbers and all the data that you start with that you build all other information on. And what we wanted for our baseline is what would it take for 100% of people that were invited and said, yeah, I'll come, to actually show up to a class? What would it take? So we got a lot of different leaders involved. Some of these leaders were brand new. Some of them were experienced. Some of them were in our local area, and some of them were all over, everywhere. We wanted to have a pretty big variety, so it wasn't just like, this only works in Utah, or it only works for seasoned leaders that live in Canada. We wanted to see that it could work for everybody, no matter where they lived and no matter how new or how mature they were with doTERRA. So the first thing we did was we got all of our leaders together and we said, okay, we're going to collect some data. And to do that, we need to make sure that you get onto this website. And this is a website that we put together, and they had to put every single point of data into this website, right? And the first thing we tried is we said, we're going to give you free Family Essentials kits. Back then they were called the Family Physician Kit. But anyway, we're going to give you some free Family Essentials kits. And everyone that commits to coming to a class, simply tell them, well, if you come, you'll receive a free Family Essentials kit. And I only have 10 kits. So we'd give them 10 kits. They'd go out, they would sample people, they would follow up, and then they would tell people, okay, well, I have a class on Thursday and I'm actually giving out 10 free Family Essentials kit, and I would like you to come. Now, I have a question for you. What percentage do you think of people that actually showed up to these classes if they were getting for free a Family Essentials kit, which is worth, $150? Well, 100% of people showed up. We were able to get 100%. Now, I know it's crazy, and it was tons of money because we had lots and lots and lots of leaders doing this all over. It was tons of money. And it's absolutely not duplicatable. So by no means am I suggesting you to do this. But we just wanted a baseline of what it would take to have 100% of people come to a class. And then we thought to ourselves, okay, now that we've spent tens of thousands of dollars and we know that if someone gets a Family Essentials kit, they'll for sure show up. let's bring that down just a little bit. And we brought it to, I don't know if you know about these. It's just a kit, and it has peppermint and lemon and lavender. It's just a teeny little starter kit. It's about $25, okay? And we thought, okay, now let's try something different. And instead of offering them a $150 kit, we're just gonna give them a kit that's worth $25. And we did the same thing, and we did it with lots of different leaders all across, and we found out what percentage of people would really show up. And it wasn't 100%, it was actually 80%. 80% of people would show up to a class when we told them that we would give them this for free. And we kept tweaking the process. Do you see how expensive this was for us? And then we went from that, the little starter kit down to a 5 ml bottle of wild orange. And we would tell people, hey, if you come to this class, we'll give you a 5 ml bottle of wild orange. And we had tons of variations on who showed up and who didn't show up and why they showed up. And so we kept working at this. And after a while, after we had spent a lot of time and lots of leaders had been logging a lot of data, and we went through a huge process of exactly how they'd call people, whether it was email or whether it was by phone or whether they would follow up by social media, and what text message they'd send and how they'd say things and when they would follow up and when they wouldn't follow up. And we went through a huge process. And we realized after we spent $100,000 that it really didn't matter what we promised people and how much they got. What mattered was the actual process. The process by which we invited to a class and then followed up effectively to make sure that they came to a class was the most important piece. And we were able to come up with a system that I'm going to show you, right, in the next few calls, where if you do it properly and you invite 10 people to come, 80% of your people will show up, 80%. And we were able to get that pretty standard all over with lots of different leaders if they simply followed this correct system. Now, I need to tell you that if you tweak it at all, if you make any tweaks at all and change little things, the effectiveness goes down. And I've seen this also. People will say, well, I'll do like 80%, but I'm going to change this little thing. And they come back and say, it didn't work for me. And I'm like, do it correctly. So it costs us a lot of money and a lot of time. And unless you want to go out and do your own market research and spend your own $100,000, I would suggest to take all of this work and all of this time and all this data and all of the investment and follow this effective inviting process, because guess what? It works. It works in the US, it works in Europe, it works internationally, it works all over the world. So don't reinvent the wheel, just follow the process. And our next call, we're going to teach you about the invitation. Bye-bye.